This conference will now be recorded.
We can't hear anything. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you fine. Can you hear me now?
Now I can. Yeah.
I think
you just now switched on.
Okay. So I was just welcoming everybody and telling them that you're not in town and not in the state tonight. So are you gonna ask me to chair the meeting tonight then?
I am. Thank you.
All right. So we'll first start out with a roll call. So Commissioner Anaya? Here. Commissioner Brennan? Here. Commissioner Donner? Here. Mayor Jaramillo?
Here.
Okay. So we'll next have the Pledge of Allegiance and the New Mexico flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay. So next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I would like to entertain a motion.
So, make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second. Okay.
Discussion point on that. We may want to consider combining the two closed sessions.
And which items are those that you're talking about?
The two closed sessions on litigation. And the reason I'm bringing that forward is because with the town assuming the lawsuit, I don't feel that there's even the appearance of a conflict of interest for me. You guys remember that I had recused myself just to be ultra cautious at one of our first meetings from the Bassett case, McGill versus John Bassett case. And at this point, my interests are aligned. I have no financial interest, of course, and never did. And with the town taking it over, I think that it's fine for me to join that executive session. Now, the commissioners have every right to vote that I not attend it if you wish when we get to that point. But I would just move to combine items 10 and 11.
Yeah. Do I hear a second? Then we can discuss further if you like. I'll second. Okay, and under discussion, I need to inform you all and the public too that I have abandoned my claim in that case, in the Bassett, McGill versus Bassett case. I have withdrawn from the case. The reason is because the town has voted to pursue that case. So I didn't want to have any even appearance of conflict. I believe that our interests were the same as the town. We had actually filed that lawsuit in order to recover money that was not spent according to the anti-donation clause of the Constitution. So now that I don't have any, I'm in favor. I would be in favor also of combining those two for economy of time tonight. So I just want to disclose that. Any further discussion or questions?
Nope. No.
So we have a motion on the table to combine items 10 and 11 into one closed executive session. And we'll do a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Donner? Aye. Commissioner Brennan? Aye. Mayor Jaramillo?
Aye.
And Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Motion carries. So with that change, we have a motion on the table, I believe, to approve the agenda with that modification. Do we need further discussion on that?
Nope. I made the motion to
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so agenda passes and is approved. We have on minutes and review and approval for January 3rd, January 5th, and January 12th. Do I hear a motion to approve these?
Why don't we go with discussions on this?
You want discussion before we make a motion?
Yeah, just make sure there's no any,
Okay, if you have some questions, please go ahead.
no, I don't have any.
Okay, sorry. I have to get really close to these mics.
You know what?
Can you hear me now? I hear you, I didn't hear whoever. Oh, okay, Commissioner and
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes, with, discussion.
I second.
okay.
Any discussion?
I've reviewed these, I don't have any changes. Would you all like to? Okay. Okay, well, if there's no further discussion, I think we can just, do this without a roll call vote. So all in favor of approving the minutes for January 3rd, January 5th, and January 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, did we get a second on that?
I did, but.
Oh, you got a second, Commissioner Donner, second.
Yeah, we have a question on, I'm trying to find it here. When we changed the allocation from 150,000, we made the allocation different, change from 150,000 to 100,000 because of the Walmart fire. What page is that on? There it is. Page 9 of 13. If memory serves me right, it was Commissioner Donner that actually had made the motion to change it to 100,000.
I believe that's true. And then you amended it. That's right. Good catch.
So if we can change that, then we're good.
Who made the motion to approve?
I did.
Will you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Are there any others?
Not for me. That was the only one that I found.
I accept the, changes.
Okay. So the change from the motion was made by Commissioner Donner instead of Commissioner Harville. Okay. Any other discussion on these minutes? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, let's see here. Is the consent agenda. And this is just to acknowledge the receipt of our December 2021 department reports from the Police Department, Animal Control, Municipal Court, Roads, Library, Maintenance, Wastewater, and Technology. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as is.
Commissioner Nye, can you please speak into the mic?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as is.
Second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Any questions on any of these reports? Okay.
There is one, and it might just be me, because we had, the pages that we got, it was 4A and 4B. When I've gone over these a couple of times, the pages look identical, so were they just double copies that we put in there? Or was there supposed to be a separate, different page?
I'll have to defer to the clerk on that one. You know the answer to that, Stephanie?
Oh, okay.
Okay, Could she speak into the mic too?
Yes, it was a second copy, and we apologize for that.
Okay. So they're the same.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda items?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll take a vote then. All in favor of approving the consent agenda and acknowledging the receipt of these reports, all in favor say aye.
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 Next item on the agenda is public comments.
No.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Say again?
I can't hear him.
You want these reports to be delivered? Okay, not just the written reports. So do we have anyone here tonight from these departments that wants to speak on these reports? Okay. So the reports speak for themselves, I take it?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. So the next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. I think we have another public comment section in general, public comments later. But if the public has any comments on agenda items tonight, we'd be glad to hear them. Let's start first with the audience that's present in the room. Anyone here who'd like to speak? Ms. Hubbard, please. Do we have a sign-in sheet for public comment?
It may be for general.
I like the way that you're dividing public comment with agenda items, and I would like to make that comment. I think that's a good idea.
Can you speak?
Can you hear me?
No.
Not quite.
Barely.
Hold on. Okay, now you hear me?
Jesus, can you
I
check
can't hear
the?
anything. That doesn't sound like
Okay, give us just a second. We'll
Okay.
get that fixed.
Oh.
Anybody on the council
Okay.
needs to speak into the
I wanted to
microphone.
compliment you on dividing up the public comments for agenda items and then having the others later. I think that's a good format. Something I had recommended it way back. And the other thing I wanted to, since it's about agenda items and the projects that you're working on, the ICIP, I brought up Church Street before, but my personal opinion, instead of it being on the ICIP, which is out too late to submit actually, but maybe you'll get funding, but I feel like the town has an sufficient budget to pay for this, being that there's already close to $1 million designated to Church Street, and it should be paid for out of town budget, because this has just been so long overdue getting done.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Mr. Ring.
I signed up to talk about recall, but I'll wait on that till later. I had questions about recall. Maybe I'll go ahead and ask them. Can you tell me if a citizen comes forward with a petition for recall and it goes on further into the process, and let's say it addresses, just to be nice to everybody, it addresses every commissioner for recall. Is that citizens' expenses, legal or otherwise, concerning the recall going to be paid for by the town? Second question, is the commissioner's expenses involving the recall going to be paid for by the town?
I don't know those questions. Answers to those questions, we probably have to defer to an attorney, but we could probably get an opinion about that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to have money fly out of my pocket when we don't have to. Anyway, that's it.
Are you planning a recall?
That's it for now.
Oh,
I think I'll recall it.
all right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. And next we have Mr. Ponto, Michael Ponto.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I want to thank each and every one of you guys and, just say you guys are doing a good job. I like the way the town meetings are going. It's a whole lot more comfortable being here. And we'll give a shout out to the police department. Those guys are doing a good job. See you guys all over the place. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And now we'll open it up to, I guess we'll first go to the, oh, we have someone else, Ralph Hill, please.
Chuck Ring, I can't believe how much crap you're throwing out here. A brand new bunch of people running the town.
Why don't you listen? It was a joke.
That sounds like a joke to me.
Well, it might not to you because you don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah, you shouldn't even be up here. Anyway, I'd like to compliment the town. Just look at tonight's agenda. I've never seen a town with so much going on in such a short distance of time. And you think you want to recall? Unbelievable. Anyway, finally, you've got the screens coming in for the sewer. We've been waiting for those for months. You've got codification going. You're working on the audit. You know, now you're starting the Great American Cleanup. Thank you, Kay. That's going to be wonderful.
Getting united.
That was always a big event in town. And Purple Heart, thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would defend anybody's right to say what they have to say, and I know we can all disagree, but I would just ask that we try to keep it as civil as possible, so that we can all be heard and we can all share our views. So, anyone else in the audience that would like to speak tonight? Okay. You want to start with the telephone callers? Okay, so we're unmuting all the telephone callers. If anyone would like to speak, would you please let us know your name and...
This is Martha Eden. I'd like to simply submit my name as a possible member of the Finance and Audit Committee that I see you're going to be establishing in item 6. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else on the telephone that would like to speak? You're all unmuted. Okay, hearing none, we'd like to open it up now to the go-to-meeting guests. Anyone there would like to speak?
This is Sabina Price.
Would you go ahead, Ms. Price?
Good evening. I reside at 30 Calle Encantada, and foremost, I would like to express my respect for each and every one of you commissioners. I've attended the first 2 meetings in person and this one online, and I have to compliment you all for accomplishing more in the first month than the former mayor did in at least 1 year, if not longer. I especially want to recognize the professionalism I have been privileged to witness. I see how diligent you guys are working to clean up this mess he left behind. I appreciate your dedication, and integrity speaks for itself. I also want to show my utmost respect for Mr. Ring. I'm disgusted by him voicing jokes that are completely uncalled for. He should say nothing if he can't say something nice. That is my personal opinion. But again, thank you for doing all this hard work with the people of Edgewood.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Anyone else on Google Meets that would like to speak?
I would. Karen Kaiser.
Please go ahead, Ms. Kaiser.
I had intended to just say, wow, another extremely ambitious agenda. And I agree with Ms. Price. I think you've gotten more done in a month than the previous administration got done in 6 years, not 1 year. But I must be like Ralph Hill and not have a sense of humor. I found Mr. Ring's comments tonight and every night since the new commission has taken their seats to be hurtful and mean-spirited and just offensive. While you're doing your research, Mr. Ring, for your next joke, given what the town went through, the required element for recall is an action of malfeasance. And we've had plenty of that in Edgewood's history by your buddy, John. But it's not happening today, and it's hurtful to the town that you claim to love to speak of it again, whether in jest or in seriousness. Enough is enough, and I respectfully ask you to knock it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Anyone else on GoToMeeting that would like to speak tonight? Okay, last call. Anyone like to speak? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment section. And next item on the agenda is matters from the mayor. So I'll turn this over to Mayor Hartmeal.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Appreciate the participation, and just did want to mention to Ms. Huppertz that I do try to listen to the public, and I thought your idea of the agenda items, having public comments on agenda items at the front end and then general public comments at the end, was a great one. And so that's why we have it there, and I appreciate your input on many things, not just that, but also capital projects and other items too that you comment over the years. So just wanted to mention that, and thank you. Then also, and I started listing out these items under each commissioner because there's just so much going on, and really in the spirit of transparency and openness and collaboration, and not having really just having the opportunity for all of the commissioners to be aware of things and have information in an open meeting. I thought it was important to add some of these items, even if, just as a matter of communication, so we know what's going on. So, for example, the establishing committees, I bring that forward as, hey, this is an idea that I have. I'm going to move forward unless, the commissioners say, oh, no, that doesn't sound like a good idea. But I will move forward with something, probably an ordinance for these to set them up in the future. So it's not something that we would be deciding tonight, but I really appreciate Martha Eden as well for volunteering for that. And I just have to thank all of the volunteers of the town that have just been overflowing and coming in and asking to serve. They want to serve on committees. They want to help. We have a volunteer in the front office, as people have gotten sick, and I'm so appreciative of the townspeople who have been really outpouring with assistance and everything. So thank you, Martha, also for being willing to serve. These are very, I guess, common committees, advisory committees that we can set up, and I think probably needed at this point. Establishing a facilities and construction advisory committee, that's been brought up in the past. I know that Commissioner Anaya and I were on the school board together, and we had a committee, a construction committee, oversight committee there, and he served on that and was very, very effective. So these committees normally have one or two board members, commissioners that attend along with the public, and in our areas of expertise or interest, perhaps, and then fill in the committees with qualified people or just volunteers that maybe have a passion for a certain area, like the Animal Control Advisory Board. And so I think that that's what I will bring forward, unless you guys think otherwise. It might take me a little bit of time, but I just wanted to put that out there, that we will be setting these up, or at least I'll be proposing to set them up. And then codification, we should have a guest with us tonight. Margaret, are you with us from Code Publishing? Do we have Margaret? Okay, I'll just go ahead and give you the update. She may be muted, or Hey, Suze, why don't you unmute the callers just in case Margaret actually called in? Margaret, are you with us? On caller 3, caller 4? Okay, just wanted to double check. So I did speak with her, and in an effort to not duplicate the codification, we are going to hold off on that until the commission has had the opportunity to go through every resolution and ordinance possible. There's some tasks that they can begin with if we want to proceed with the contract with them. And I've been attempting to get a copy of that contract. I don't believe we've been able to find it. I think that Monet had asked Jessica Nixon for it from Robles, Ryle, and Anaya. That was never provided to me. So we're gonna have to get that from Margaret, the vendor, and take a look at the fees for them to house the information on a go-forward basis and determine if that's something we want to do, and just take a look at the terms of the contract. So that's in process. I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. But the codification itself needs to be on hold so that we don't waste taxpayer dollars and have to do it twice. Governmental Conduct Act compliance. This is something that we recommend to our clients through JAG. You know, each year signing it's like I guess a conflict of interest statement, basically saying, I'm aware of the Governmental Conduct Act. I don't have anything to disclose. I don't have any conflicts of interest, or, oh, hey, I'm aware of these things, or, you know, here's the businesses that I'm involved in. And those then are used in the procurement process so that an award is not accidentally given to a related party, for example. And so I have a form for that we can implement for the employees, and it's just an internal control over compliance is what we call it. And what that is just to ensure that the town stays in compliance with the Governmental Conduct Act. Part of that also is employees need to disclose if they have any businesses or ownership in businesses, moonlighting, you know, all of that should be disclosed. And so that's something that the town needs to implement. The audit status, I have not seen that released. I checked the other day, so that's still pending at the state auditor's office. And then Great American Cleanup also is in process. And so I think that's a really great idea as well. And so I'll pass it on to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So then we go, the next item on the agenda is matters from the commissioners, and the first item is for me, and these are basically just reports as well. Recently, Bernalillo County had a very serious problem where they had ransomware that froze up their systems, caused all kinds of problems. So we felt it was an urgent matter to try to get some backups and to try to examine the security in our systems. Issuance has been helping with that enormously. We had an outside vendor come in because it's a kind of a large task, so appreciate that, the work you've been doing. So it's nearly complete. We've got just about everything backed up. I believe they're still working on one or more of the servers. So that should be complete, I would think, by Monday. And that way, if anything does happen, we still be operational without a hiccup. The town website's being updated. I started getting phone calls that the calendar was, there were P&Z meetings on there that weren't happening because we didn't have our P&Z board up and running yet. So that's in process, should be complete pretty soon. One of the things I would like to advocate for is that we have an public outreach on our website, which would be perhaps video updates, could come from any one of us or two of us, could come from the town manager and clerk and even the chief, whoever's got some updates for us. So I think that would be a good idea. One of the things we all agreed, kind of ran on or agreed on principle basis was public input and public outreach and transparency. So that's more than just doing the minimum of complying with the Open Meetings Act or the Governmental Conduct Act. we can actually be proactive and not just hit the lowest bar, but try to aim for the ceiling. The other item is the Purple Heart Trail ceremony. In 2020, I worked with then Councilor Jaramillo to try to bring this forward. I believe Councilor Abraham was also involved. It was actually, I believe we voted on it. It was adopted to make Edgewood a Purple Heart Trail town, which simply means it honors the veterans who have been wounded and that live in the town. There are signs that are put up that designate the roadways as Purple Heart Trail. So the ceremony was supposed to happen on Veterans Day of 2020, and it just completely got pushed aside. So I would like to bring that forward again, and the gentleman that runs that operation for the state is in Albuquerque. He came out for the original. I believe they even provided the signs. So I'd like to see that happen, if you all agree, and we can bring that up for an action item and perhaps do the ceremony. We'll have to figure out how to get it out to the public. I know there are a lot of veterans. I know some that have been wounded that have Purple Hearts, and would like to get them all together and have a ceremony. This isn't iterated on the matters under my name, but I just want to give you also, we're all trying to bring our various talents, skills, life experience for the benefit of the town. And it sometimes is difficult. We've got so much that has been undone for months. And some of those items will be on the agenda a little later to discuss. I found out the Section 34 open space lease was allowed to expire last year without a renewal. That's an important public recreational area. So Section 32 as well, there's lease payments that are way overdue on that. So it's just been kind of a constant stream of things that we're trying to fix. But we are working on it, and we've got those in process. The other thing that's a major event that's going on is we're starting the repairs on the sewer plant. There's going to be over $1 million in repairs done. Phil has a background in construction, and I do as well, and so we've been meeting with the engineers on that. We're not allowed to meet all together because of the quorum thing, but we are working hard on that and monitoring progress. We have to monitor the value of the work they've done and the applications that are coming in. So we're looking at all of that. There will be a tour of the plant scheduled as soon as Larry Hall can come out, the operator, to try to get an idea of what. And we did have one meeting where we were on the Zoom meeting with the engineers discussing the possible problems, why the plant requires so much maintenance, why it's not been functioning within NMED guidelines. And I think we hit on 4 or 5 good areas. We're going to start collecting data on the hardness of the water, of the drinking water versus what's going into the plant. Because there is a distinct possibility that all of the reverse osmosis plants in town, because every restaurant has to have one, it creates this concentrated mineralized waste stream. And Walmart actually sells water, so they're generating a lot of that waste stream. It's going right into the sewer. So we're looking at all those things and trying to troubleshoot down the road. But that work is in progress and should be completed sometime in August of this year on the sewer. And at least it will be back, we think, to where it's functioning well. I think that's all I've got for tonight. So next commissioner is Phil and I, so you want to take it from there, Phil?
I too want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and all the other meetings that we've had. It's been an honor to have served all of you guys, and I appreciate it very much. I appreciate all the positive comments that we get, and we're trying to pass all of those back to our neighbors and friends, and just trying to change the world if we can. We just start at the bottom because we know it's not working from the top down. So we'll start from the bottom and go our way up. Go all the way up and just try to fix things that we can to help everybody out. One of the items that I had on the agenda tonight was the Moriarty Edgewood School District. We need to set up a meeting, Audrey and I, to go meet with the superintendent and hopefully, one or two of their board members also, so that we can talk about, items that need to be taken care of on the buildings over here. It seems like it's kind of been in the neglect also. As you see, we've had the lights put on outside, for the safety of, the public, safety of the employees. You know, I have always believed that, if you're gonna invite somebody to your house, you wanna make sure that they feel comfortable. And lighting is a very, very important, issue that we have. Also going along with, the school district, we have a 30-year lease, with 25 to expand after that. Well, I'd kind of like to get into discussions with them to find out, what they really want to do with the buildings out here. You know, I hear talk, and this is talk, that they want to tear down some of the buildings on the south side of us after the library, which happens to be part of the multi-use building, which, you know, they have a gymnasium in there. And so I'd kind of like to get with them and find out what it is that they intend to really do with that, because that could be possibly a good area, you know, with some minor maintenances, to where we could open it up to the kids so that they can come and play basketball or you know, even indoor soccer, you know, things like that. So we want to try to find ways to help them and try to keep them out of trouble as much as we can. Some of the other items, again, that I'll be talking about a little bit later on is we need to do some construction internally into the building here, which means that we have 4 big, huge offices in the back, which actually are full-size classrooms. And I put in the set of plans, kind of what I thought might work for the commissioners here. And if anybody wants to see it, they can always come up a little later on, and I'll be more than happy to show it to them. We have to find ways to make room for all the employees here, and again, everybody's with their safety. And commissioners will have meetings with their in their district, and when they come to have meetings, they need to be in their own office, secured to where there's no conflict of rolling forms or anything like that. And this is the way that it's done in all of the commission type governments. So I want to go ahead and try to get some of that stuff put through tonight to kind of, you know, get started on a little bit of that. Also along the lines of lighting, Charles, I had him do some stuff for me to get some pricing on the lighting, like you guys see outside. And doing so, wow, I was shocked. Some of those lights come in at $14,000. Even a used one was somewhere, you know, let me rephrase that. Some as high as $14,000, and some as low as $9,000, and those were new. Then you go down to a used one, and they've got something like 4,000 hours on it, and that is pretty high hours, even though they're diesels. And hopefully, if they're maintained right, you know, we could probably pick up something like that for $5,000, and that would be something that'd be nice to use over at the park, or whenever we have night gatherings. Again, this is all safety. And along with the parking lots, I want to put lights on the parking lot permanently, so that we can, again, keep everybody safe. And those lights that we'll be talking about a little later on, they're actually solar lights. So we don't have to run any electricity to the poles, so our electric bill will not be costing us. And the solar lights, believe it or not, the ones I was looking at are pretty bright. They're also remote control. They have timers, they have dimmers, you know, so they're pretty nice lights that we will be putting up for all of you all. So along those lines, that's about, well, no, I went to a meeting for Mr. Cog, and it was a meeting that was for, they were gathering information for clusters. And what I mean by clusters, there's, the state of New Mexico is made up of 6 clusters, north, south, east, west, and central, east, central, west. Those clusters, we would belong to what is called Cluster East, I believe it was. And that is along I-25, starting with us here in Edgewood. Moriarty's kind of in that, but not all of it. They belong to a different cluster. But we have part of Moriarty. We have Edgewood, Tijeras, and then the smaller communities that are in the mountain areas like Cedar Grove. What else is out there? Anyhow, all these little towns that are around us. And what it is they're trying to gather information for wants and needs. Wants and needs meaning, what is it that you want from the Build Back Better plan or the fundings from the federal government that they put out? And we want to be able to tell them, and we have told them because they've already started doing surveys with the information that we've given them. And I think we have a total of 3 meetings with that. And then once those meetings are done, they'll put all the data together and come up with hopefully a good solution as to what is really the high priorities. For an example, we said here in Edgewood, I did, and oh, by the way, Chamber of Commerce was there in the meeting, and EPCOR was in the meeting too, and they had some very good input into this conversation or meetings also. We talked about things like broadband, roads, sewer. The big item that they talked a lot about was water. So they're doing a survey, and once we gather all the information, we'll be able to have a meeting that has much more detail into it, and we'll share it with the public once everything is out, and then you guys can tell us what you think is best for the community.
Thank you, Commissioner Knight. And just for the public, Mr. COG is an acronym for Middle Rio Grande Council of Governments. They're kind of an organization of towns and counties that try to cooperate for the benefit of New Mexico. Okay, Commissioner Brennan.
All right, first I want to go ahead and talk about the flagpole we've been talking about. We're starting to get pricings on getting the two flagpoles put out. Did a little searching on that. For a commercial grade flagpole, it'll take at least 100-mile-an-hour winds. We don't usually get winds that strong out here, but we can occasionally get some really heavy ones. So we want to make sure we get a pole that's not going to end up snapping in half on us. And they run between about $1,500 to $2,000 a piece, and working on the getting the price of getting those installed out there. So we're working on that, and I hope to definitely have those poles up before we get into the summer. My goal I'd like to make it Memorial Day, so that would be I think, a suitable day for that to go up. And we'll keep you apprised on that as that progresses. Another thing I want to say, I did remember I read a comment there on in the Independent the other week about coughing up here. And if that comment was directed to me, I'm not going to apologize, but I will say that I understand. And just to let you know about myself, I do take medication that causes me to have a dry cough. And I've had that for over 30 years. All right, so I've lived with it for that long. I also have sinuses issues where I have to use a nasal spray to open up my sinuses. And for some reason, when I enter this building, my sinuses like to lock up. So before I come in here, I now take a shot of the spray in my sinuses. The bad part about that is when I do take that shot into my sinuses, it opens everything up. So if there's anything up there, it's coming down. So no, I just want to put people at ease. I'm not up here. I'm not sick or anything like that. It's a situation I've dealt with for a long, long time. I think it's a side effect of my years in the military. So we'll just leave it at that. And the last thing I want to say is in the situation that we just talked about here a little bit ago about comments that were being made by the public. I took no offense to what was said. All right, and I actually thought the initial question was a good question. I mean, don't know if right now was the proper time for the question, but it was a good question. I actually thought about that myself before. But we've got to make sure that when we're here, we're all family. We all live together. All right, we need to be very civil with each other. All right, and just tone it down a little bit with each other. All right, we're like I said, we're all friends, we're family. A lot of us go to the same churches, and there's really no need to go ahead and get that riled up. We had too much of that in the past, and I don't want to see that going forward. And that was one of the things when I was running that I talked about, the civility of everybody. And that's not only just the members that are up here, that also includes the people of the town. So take that for what it's worth. But like I said, I do appreciate everybody who does make comments. And don't worry about offending me. It takes a lot to offend me unless you start saying something bad about my wife and my mother. I'm okay with it, all right?
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Donner, please.
Thank you. Who in here is excited for the tap room that's coming up?
Me too, but I don't drink.
No, but there's going to be good food.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see that there's businesses that are interested in coming to Edgewood. We have a lot of work to get done to make sure that we can continue to attract those services to Edgewood, broadband, wireless internet, a plethora of different things, roads, water, sewage. But the purpose of the Economic Development Committee is to bring more services to the town of Edgewood, where we can keep that gross receipts tax in the town. We have the ability to support the people in this town without them having to go to Albuquerque for everything that they need. We brought Walmart in, we have Smith's. I'd like to see things like the BMX park for our kids to do, things for our kids to do in the town. And that's why I'm working on this committee, and I will have something to bring forth to you guys by the second meeting in February to hopefully vote on establishing this committee. And I've already had numerous people reach out in interest for that, and it's great to see the involvement of the town and the excitement that there is going on in this town. We can build this town to our vision and do it in a way that keeps our character at the same time. We are a close-knit community. Most people know each other or know of each other. And that civility we need to bring back to the town. We need to get back to helping each other and seeing the good in each other, not the negatives and everything that happens. So that's my little spiel. I won't go on much longer, but just know that this ordinance is being worked on and will be presented in the second meeting in February. I would like to get it on the agenda for that. So, and it would be in conjunction with Avita, Commissioner Anaya. They do some different things than what this committee is going to look at. There are some phenomenal people. Actually, everybody in this town is phenomenal, but there are some people with skill sets that can help recruit some really good services to this town. So, thank you guys for being here. It's a privilege.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, if there's no objection, I have a couple of questions on these, a couple items here, just for logistics, if that's okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I cannot thank you enough, Mayor Pro Tem, for taking action and getting results on the cybersecurity. I cannot even begin to tell you my frustration for almost 4 years of asking where we were at on that, and did we have backups, and were we secure, and then come to find out that there was a lot of work that needed to be done. So the timing on that, is that going to be completed this coming week, or what's the time frame?
I believe that it is, and I'm going to ask Jesus about that just to confirm it. So he said that he's going to do the backups overnight and through the weekend, and they should be done by Monday. So we'll be complete with that whole thing.
Okay, perfect. And then I understand that we also were able to get backups of the individual workstations, etc. So that's just great news. And then as another thing for timing, the Purple Heart Trail ceremony, I heard that we wanted to have, Commissioner Brennan wanted to have flag polls done, in time for Memorial Day, and maybe we, maybe we could combine the two ceremonies as far as raising the flags and the Purple Heart Trail ceremony on Memorial Day. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
Okay, so let's plan on that. So the manager and clerk can start, making preparations to make sure we get that event done. And let's see here, it was, the Mr. Cog regarding the I-40 interchange. Did they give us any sense of timing on that, Commissioner Anaya? Or are they still in the information gathering stage?
They're still in it. It's going to be somewhere in the mid-March before they can come up with their all the data that they needed.
So they're just in the.
So you're looking at March.
They're they're just at the planning stage now?
Yeah, they're in the planning stage right now. They've had 3 meetings, and that's it, with 3 different sectors.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Pro Tem Mayor?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Brennan, can I, on the flag poles that we're talking about putting up here in front of the building, you're thinking of putting two poles?
Right, 2 poles. You have one on the right and one on the left. As you exit the building, according to the protocol, the American flag would go on the right, the state flag would go on your left as you're exiting the building.
Okay. What would happen, because of the cost of the 2 poles, what would happen if we put one very large pole, which we can also then make a larger flag? We can fly a larger American flag and a state flag on that with the lights on it.
Yeah, that would be an option.
Do you think that maybe you would want to ask the clerk and the manager if they could do pricing for both of them?
Yeah,
Both ways?
yeah, we can do that, because we're right now, we're looking at a 20 to 25 foot flagpole. I I did some quick measurements. I think that'll get us up high enough to where you'll actually be able to see the flags with the trees out there still from the roadway.
25 foot would be like the outside lights. So I think that you probably want to go taller than that.
Just gotta remember, as you start getting taller, that price goes up astronomically.
Yeah, but we have two prices for 2 poles versus one price for 1 pole. So it's gonna wash out.
We can look at both prices.
Okay, just a suggestion.
No, that's a good suggestion.
Okay, anything else before we move on to the matters from the deputy clerk treasurer? Are you the deputy clerk? I thought you were the interim clerk.
No, sir, that was the misprint, I believe,
Oh,
on the
okay.
previous
Okay.
agenda.
I was hoping somebody didn't demote you. Okay, so, next is the matters from the deputy clerk treasurer, and we've got some financial reports, I understand.
I have an update on the financial report. We have completed them. Amelia has done a wonderful job on it. I've done all the reconciliations, and we should have them at the first meeting of February. We would have September, October, November, and December available.
Right. Okay, so we'll look forward to those. Anything else?
The only thing I have is that I did put the registration for the Municipal Day in front of you. It has a deadline date in which to submit. So if you're interested in attending, that day, it starts at 8:30, registration's at 8:30, and then it goes from 9 to about 12 on Friday, the 4th of February.
9 till noon. And then I had thought wasn't there something on Saturday, or is that?
There is a reception on Thursday, the night before, that they would invite all of your delegation, the legislative people, but the room block has closed, and they don't have more available rooms unless, if you want to attend, I could then check at surrounding hotels and make reservations for anyone that wants to attend.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is matters from the interim town manager.
Yes, the first item is the open employee positions that we have posted. We have 3 positions that are posted internally, which is for the town staff to apply for those positions first before we open them to the public. And one is the maintenance, 2 positions for the maintenance workers and 1 custodial position. We have had heavy equipment position opened last year, but and I did find some of the applications from back in August and September, and unfortunately, things were how should I say? They didn't have an opportunity to recruit new employees with a turnover, and so that I do have 2 applicants for the heavy equipment operator on hand, and we are going to advertise that too. Then the second item is our staffing update. Fortunately, timing-wise, we were able to have planning and zoning manager come and start working yesterday. And his name is Brad Hill. And Mr. Hill, could you just briefly state who you are and
Thank you, Kay, Commissioners.
Could you come to the mic, please? Thank you.
I have spoken public before a time or two, but no, I just want to say, you know, I've had the opportunity to serve this community in the past, 6 years on planning and zoning and 10 years on the governing council, the governing body. And I've had the pleasure and honor of serving the citizens of the state of New Mexico for the last 7 years with the Office of the New Mexico Attorney General. But I do have an extensive background in development, construction, and land use. And Commissioner Donner, I just want to comment, I share your, as a citizen, I want to say I share your desire to see this community be inclusive of and encourage business, the appropriate businesses to come to this community. And my desire is to create systems within the planning and zoning arena that can facilitate business, not hinder in any way, and also protect the property right interests of all of our residents. I'm a strong believer in property rights. I'm a strong believer that once a right is vested with the individual or an entity, that right belongs to them. Fortunately, the Constitution agrees with that. But we want to make sure that we are in compliance in that regard. And I just look forward to serving this commission and my community. It's really nice to be back here in town of Edgewood, serving this community. So, if you have any questions, happy to answer them. But
well, I just want to say I really appreciate your willingness to step up because, you know, we have a bunch of great volunteers on the planning and zoning board, but they're going to require a lot of training and guidance, and I really appreciate you stepping up to help with that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Third item, obtaining legal records. We have sent a demand letter to the law firm that has represented us, and due to unfortunate incidents of having a COVID infection, and the staff that was supposed to obtain the information that we had required was going to be back in the office yesterday. I will check on them tomorrow and Friday and see where they are at getting us all the documents that we have requested. And the fourth item is discharge permit with New Mexico Environment Department has been renewed from January 7th through January 6th, 2027 for the 5 years.
And how long has that been? It was pending for a long time. They wouldn't give us the permit because the operation of the plant wasn't up to par, I understood.
I do not know the history.
Okay.
I just received the permit.
Good, thank you.
And fifth item, Tracy Master from Torrance County. She will accept diapers and baby wipes at the Venus Park, February 12th, from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then on March 26th, she will, at the Venus Park, will be distributing the diapers and wipes to any citizens that would like to have for their use. And in between time, if anybody would like to donate diapers and wipes, my understanding is that she had told me that Independent will accept the donations at their office. So this is a very good cause. And there's a sixth item I thought I just might add, is that I did talk to Matthew from Harbor Freight, and they have submitted a CID permit for remodeling the furniture store. And so he said, hopefully they will start construction sometime in March or April if everything goes well. So I thought I just might add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members? So the next item on the agenda is closed executive session. We've combined items 10 and 11. The purpose of closed executive sessions are to discuss items that are confidential to the hiring, firing, promotion, demotion, personnel matters, as well as pending litigation, which if disclosed would hamper the town's interests. So it has to be done in a closed executive session. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 1015-1, H2 and H7 for confidential discussion on limited personnel matters as well as legal matters, specifically the hiring and employment contracts of our interim town manager and interim clerk treasurer. And the legal matters are the pending litigation, Joseph Campbell versus the town of Edgewood et al., and Cheryl Hubbers versus the town of Edgewood, as well as McGill et al. Versus John Bassett, related Court of Appeals case A-1-CA-39388.
Second.
So we ought to do a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Knight?
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bruns?
Aye.
I vote aye, Mayor Harvey.
Aye.
Okay, we'll be in closed session then, and, we'll be back. Back to order. I'd like a motion to come out of, closed session and, an affirmation from each of us on a roll call vote that we had no conflicts of interest and that we only discussed the matters that were posted for the closed executive session.
I'd like to make a motion that we come out of closed session.
I'll second.
The regular session, and I do affirm that we, no conflict of interest and
And they only discussed the items in closed session.
oh, you want me to say it?
Yes, sir.
I'm sitting there waiting for, he already said it, okay. And, no conflicts of interest, and, we only discussed matters that were on the agenda.
And, I also so affirm no conflicts of interest and, only discussed items on the closed executive session agenda.
I so affirm that we only talked about items on the agenda, I have no conflicts of interest.
I so affirm that I had no conflicts of interest, and the only things discussed in the closed session were the things listed in the agenda.
And I affirm the same.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So just to be certain that we all are voting to come out of closed session, because it got a little funny there. So could you please do a roll call, Commissioner Don?
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Nye?
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're back in open session. Item number 12 on the agenda, discussion and action items. First item is informed consent waiver for Van Amberg, Rogers, Yepa, Beta, and Gomez, which is the law firm. I'm going to ask you, Mayor, to discuss that.
Yes, so I wanted to bring this forward so to allow this particular firm who did assist myself and former counselor Sherry Abraham with a writ of mandamus, and I believe this may have related to the transition to commission manager assistance. And since he had the firm had represented us and assisted us with that matter, we just need the commissioners to have that information and that informed consent and waiver of any potential conflicts of interest. I don't see it as a conflict since it was basically in alignment with the good of the town. But regardless of that, the right thing to do here is just to bring it forward to you guys to have this informed consent and waiver for Van Amberg, Rogers, Yepa, Beta, and Gomez.
So, Mayor, I have a question. Was this on the writ of mandamus to, that the town should enforce their own ordinances? Or was it that they should hold the special election and district the town?
Well, that's a good question. It seems like everything has run all together. I believe it it was on the commission manager transition. Like I said, I think that was where the questions came as far as making sure that we could transition properly.
Well, and in either case, as I recall, you and Sherry Abraham were asking the judge to order the town to follow the law, whether to enforce ordinances or hold a special election, because they were not proceeding toward that.
That's exactly right. And they the public had already voted to do this. It was in the state statute, and they were refusing to proceed and did not proceed, even with certain items such as districting, until we had to file this writ.
And as I recall, you and Councilor Abraham did this with your own funds on behalf of the town to have a judge require the town to follow the law in both cases. So I don't see the conflict there either, because you were only asking that the town follow the state law and its own ordinances. So,
Right, so I think the conservative thing to do though is to, you know, bring it forward, inform the commission of this, and waive any, you know, even appearance, I guess, of a conflict, so that the firm could provide legal services as the town might request the firm to do.
so I'd like to make a motion and then we can discuss.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve a informed consent and waiver for Van Amberg, Rogers, Yipa, Ibeda, and Gomez.
I second.
Discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. I think we can do this, all in favor, say aye.
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 So the motion carries. Next on the agenda is issuance of awards for legal services with town attorneys. And, the, manager has gone out, and the clerk have gone out for RFP. I understand that, the awards are gonna be made, and in an abundance of caution, I remember the old, procurement ordinance before, it was changed during the Bassett administration, required council approval. The new ordinance, that they wrote in 2018 allows the chief purchasing officer to make the sole decision, which I think that needs to be changed. These kind of decisions need to be affirmed, I think, by the
Yeah, Mayor
commission.
Pro Tem, I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So in an abundance of caution, I would like to bring this forward on a motion that we affirm the, and approve the awards that, the town managers made for the legal firms that have responded to the RFP. Do I hear a second?
A second.
And discussion. Do you want to bring it forward, Kay?
As requesting that we form a pool of attorneys.
Yes.
Yes, we have six attorney, law firms. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Barely.
We have six law firms that have submitted our RFP, and we have sat down as a committee and graded the RFPs, and they're very close. They're clustered very closely in the number, and each one of them have different aspects of their legal specialties to offer. And it would be remiss to just stick with one or two attorneys. And my suggestion is that we pull these attorneys and use the ones that have the particular expertise that we're needing from each one of the firms. And so that we can approach any one of those, the firms that will have the specialty that we're looking for. Whereas, like purchasing or litigation or human resources, those items.
Thanks, Kay. Do you have any questions for Kay or any discussion on this?
I don't.
Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the motion to approve the awards made by the town manager for the attorneys that responded to the RFP. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Item C, under 12, adding an alternative signatory authority resolution. And I think we have that in our packet. Can you tell us what the purpose for this is? Is this signatory authority for construction or for grants?
No, Mayor Pro Tem, it is the discharge.
You need to speak into the mic.
Oh, geez. What happened?
There's some feedback or something right there.
Sorry.
I don't think it was on this end, but I'm not sure. Please go ahead.
The idea was to have, the reason is to have another signatory authority within the office, sign, document, and legal, the checks and, leases
Oh,
But
checks
mostly to
as
do
well.
with the banks, it's mostly to do with the banks, we only
Okay.
have three, and we'd like a fourth, for coverage.
And you have somebody in mind for that?
No, actually, we didn't know if you would like to select somebody among yourselves, or if you wanted another staff member.
Yeah, that's
I
probably good.
I did want to suggest we definitely need someone who is available in Edgewood, and so I thought if we were going to select a second commissioner that it should be Commissioner Anaya, because he's usually pretty available around the office, and so just as a backup measure. And since we are working with interim positions, and possibly making organizational changes to positions, and I thought that, we may want to have a commissioner so that we don't have to go through this process with the bank too many times, as things change. So
Well, I know Phil's been spending a lot of time in the office, so I don't have any objection to that. Do you guys want to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, so make sure I got this right. So I'd like to make a motion to adding an alternative signature authority on resolution 2022-004, making Commissioner Anaya the secretary.
I'll second that. So, any discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
I too.
Motion carries. So the next on the list is Echo Ridge Section 34 lease renewal, and I understand Commissioner Brett has been working with Mr. Hill on this, I think.
This one is actually, I was going to ask Mr. Hill if he would come and present the information if there's no objections from the commissioners.
Mr. Hill, would you mind stepping to the podium?
I don't know if Roger is still on the, line or phone. You could probably give us a better update. Roger Holden?
Is that him?
No, I guess he dropped off. That's full.
I do see Roger here. Roger, if you would like to unmute and say some things as well, that would be great.
Or is he on the phone? Do we need to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Can you hear
can.
me? Okay.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Let's see. Well, now what did you wish to know? The section 34?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, section 34 is, it's also called, of course, Echo Ridge Park. Echo stands for Edgewood Community Homeowners Organization, which is the organization that started the Edgewood as a municipality. So we wanted to give it some credit for that. So that's why we named it that. Now the park, as you saw in the agenda packet, it does have the plan of development in there. The plan of development went with a letter of application to the New Mexico Department of, excuse me, there's three things going here. We got two issues. One is that we got kind of a catch-22 in that the BLM will not let us sell the property, will not let us buy the property until the plan of development is done, or 80% of it. New Mexico Department of Transportation won't give us the money to do the plan of development until the town owns it. So it's kind of like, it's two federal agencies, and hopefully they can work that out. Because the money has been allotted, set aside. The resolution from the town has the money set in it. It's just a matter of doing 80 to 90% of that plan of development. So, and then the other thing, I would recommend that the town annex that 248 acres of section 34. Any other questions?
So it did, I do. Actually, I was I was reading the information that Mr. Hill provided, and some background from you, and it made it sound like we need to act pretty immediately on renewing the lease. Or the other option is since we were awarded funds last year, the $151,000 to upgrade things, that maybe we could get that done quickly and then move, quickly to purchase instead of entering into another lease. So I wanted to hear your recommendations and the kind of decision tree that entails for the commissioners to know and understand, and so that we can make a decision to move forward in one way or another.
Yes, to purchase it, like I said, in order to purchase it from BLM, we have to do 80-90% of the work. That's on the POD. And in order to get the POD, DOT, well, you said they did give us the money. I thought it was reimbursable though.
Oh, no, DOT didn't. We received legislative appropriation for that.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes, we expended up front and then they will reimburse us. DOT will reimburse us, yeah. Yeah, so
Not, I don't think it's DOT. I think it's a legislative appropriation.
oh, that portion, yes. But then you can go to DOT and they will reimburse up to 85%.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So ultimately, the town will have to spend for that plan of development. They'll have to spend like I think like $20,000 or something.
Okay, perfect.
And
So
so that's 15% or 14.85%, and then the DOT puts up 85 point, so whatever the remainder is.
okay, and do you have a sense of the time frame that would take? Do you think that we need to enter into the lease, or can we get this done and then move to purchase?
Now, the best thing to do would contact Mr. Cog, and that's Mid-Region Council of Governments. I think somebody mentioned that before. It's not Middle Region, it's not Middle Rio Grande Council of Governments anymore. It's Mid-Region Council of Governments. And the town has a representative there that can walk us through everything. And they're kind of partner with us and DOT on getting these grants done. This is an RTP grant, Recreational Trails Plan Grant, I believe it's called, RTP. And there is a representative there at Mr. Cog, and he used to be Sandy Grazer. I don't know who it is now. And then if we attend the meetings, are the quarterly meetings down there? And they will walk us through, well, actually you can go down any time or call them, they'll walk you through the whole process. They kind of hold our hands through the grant process. So that person, whoever that is, would be able to give you direction.
Okay,
And
we can move forward.
And also be able to get you in contact with the DOT person who is the main contact, because that person has changed.
Okay, and do you believe there's any risk to us in this kind of interim period then, if we're not leasing it? I'm just kind of concerned how quickly we can get the upgrades done. Is that going to take, 6 months, 2 months, a year? Because right now the lease has actually expired.
Yeah, and I did apply before that was done. We wanted to get it done before the 2021. And everything was in process. What held it up was, like I mentioned before, that catch 22, as well as just waiting for paperwork to go through. But everything was put in place. So that's the only problem I see is that catch 22 I mentioned. So the best thing would be to contact the representative at Mr. Cog for direction.
Okay. And Mr. Hill, did you have other comments on it?
Madam Mayor, can I ask you one question, please?
Yes, of course.
Is there a possibility that we could do this since we want to make sure that all the work and monies that we put into it to get it up to the 80%? Do you think that we could work, and this is probably a good question for Mr. Cog, put a lease with a purchase to be converted over?
I don't believe they have that kind of process.
But could they do it as an amendment?
Possibly. You can lease it for 5 years for free, $0, and just hold it in that position until you get the work done, and then go to the purchase or to purchase what do they call it? To purchase, yeah, a patent. Patent is what you call it. So yes, you probably can do that.
Okay, Madam Mayor, on the construction cost, have we already put that out for bid? And if so, what was the dollar amount? Do you remember?
I do not believe it went out to bid. Carla was gathering information for me because I kept asking about the status and when we were going to use the money. She said she was going to get back to me, but of course, I did not hear the ultimate end result of that. I know there are folders in the office as well, so we should be able to look in there, those red folders, and find out, hopefully find out where things were at. But the last emails that I got from her, she was going to look up some things and then get back to me. So I do think that's the next step. Thank you, Roger, is that we can, reach out to our contacts there, Mr. Cog and DOT. And if we can avoid, well, I guess we could enter a lease and then, since it's not a cost, and then hopefully purchase early. I don't think we need to wait the 5 years. I would rather just get this done for the town.
And remember, there are timelines and milestones in the DOT grant. I think they've already expired, but then they could be like the gentleman said before, they could write an amendment. So, yeah.
Okay.
So just a point of clarification, the lease that I'm looking at, the last one from 2016 that it was allowed to expire, does have a purchase option contained in it. It says it may be exercised at any time during the term of the lease when development of land is in substantial compliance with the plan of development. So that is kind of the plan.
And it wasn't renewed because we intended on purchasing it, but then with COVID and with the this, like I said, catch-22, it kind of came to a halt. That needs to be resolved.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Holden. Any questions?
Just one other reminder, Section 32, which is also called Poker Draw Park, that one does have a lease on it, and it's due. It's probably, I don't know if it's overdue or not, but every year there's a lease we have to pay on that to keep it in our name. Also, I did send in an application for it to be a municipal lease, and that makes it a 25-year lease, and that did apply for it, and I don't know what the status of it is. And then we don't have to every year pay. There's a special consideration, as well as we're able to use the parcel gives us more leeway in the use of that parcel. And then you need to go to the state land office, and I'm sure all the contact information's on the paperwork there on the existing lease.
Okay, thank you very much.
I did,
Roger,
Mr. Hill.
Yeah, Roger, Commissioner Powers said
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. It's really far away.
Oh, I said, for Commissioner Powers said that we are moving forward on that, Edgewood 7, TAP grant.
Oh, excellent.
Just worried about that.
We've also applied for capital outlay funds for both Echo Ridge and the Edgewood 7 Trail, which some of those funds are not subject to you already owning the property. So that is also in the works.
Excellent.
Roger, will you be available tomorrow night by phone for any questions with our Parks and Rec Committee meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much. So I guess at this point, if the commission would like to authorize me to move forward with some of these, the execution of the agreements and, or at least the negotiations. If anything changes in the lease, of course, I would bring that forward first. But if this is just a matter of getting an amendment and updating the information and letting them know the new timeline and things like that, and kind of speaking on our behalf as to what we want to do, that's probably the most efficient way. And that way, between myself and Kay and Stephanie, we can get this moving forward.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to that effect, that we task the mayor with negotiation of this lease and execution if it's just a renewal. If there's other terms that are significant, I want it to go back before the commission.
I second.
Any discussion?
Can I add a little friendly request in there for also to follow up on section 32?
Yeah, I'll accept that friendly amendment.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. So we have the town organization chart on here, but I think that was a holdover from last time. Unless anybody wants to revisit that, I'd like to move on.
Not at this time,
I'm sorry?
for me anyway.
Yeah, but that, I think we've already done that. Was that on there? Oh, yeah. So we came out of closed session, but we didn't vote on one of the items on the limited personnel matter, so, Commissioner Brennan. So, we need to vote on the contracts, so, I'm gonna make a motion on that to approve the execution of the new revised contracts for the interim tap manager and the interim clerk.
Second.
Any discussion on those items, those contracts?
The only thing I have is, that was actually Commissioner Donner brought to my attention, so I brought it to your attention.
Very good, thank you both.
Good job.
Okay, if there's no discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Contracts are approved. So the next item on the agenda is 12F, which is the cannabis ordinance. And I understand this is the one you've been working on, Commissioner Brennan, with Mr. Hill. So would you please address that?
I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna need to speak. I'm getting chat complaints that they can't hear you.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to do something. I don't know, Jesus, if you can turn up the volume on that mic on the phone, or I'm not sure what's happening, but people just simply can't hear.
Is this any better?
Is that Commissioner Donner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I guess let's try that.
I think you almost have to swallow these mics, so I think we'll just have to. Okay. So please, Commissioner Brennan.
All right, so we've been on this cannabis ordinance we need to put together. We had started off with an original draft. Mr. Hill and myself, we were discussing different changes that we need to make to it. And I'll get to that here in a second, where I put it. Give me a second here. Too much paper one night. All right, in your packet, you've got the original draft that was made, and then there were some changes that we would like to make to that. And that was just sitting here on this table.
Commissioner Brennan, when you say the original, is this the canned version from the Municipal League?
I think it's, part of it's from there, part of it is from, different ordinances that have been gone through.
Okay.
And then it was put together. Forgive me for this, it was right here.
Us.
Oh, here it is. Got stuck in the other packet. All right, so going through that, I mean, a lot of what's in here is a lot of boilerplate terminology, pretty straightforward, but some of the suggestions, changes. If you would go to, bless you, page 7, there it is. On section 5, cannabis production, we're on paragraph B, where it says within 300 feet of any school or child daycare facility. What we want to do is we suggest that be changed to the property boundary of any school or child daycare facility. That way, if a school or a child care facility is sitting on a large lot of land that's all theirs, then we would then be talking about the boundaries of that property and not the building itself. Because if you, on the property itself, the children cannot be anywhere on that property. So we want to make sure that's what's covered on that.
From the boundary rather than the buildings.
Right, so going from basically the lot lines, 300 feet from there is where it would take up. And that same wording falls under a few different sections. Section 6, cannabis retail. Once again, paragraph B, same change there. On cannabis retail, we're talking about the hours of operation. We need to take a good look at what is actually going to be permissible. I was thinking that a standard of 8 to 5 for such businesses would be appropriate, but we'd have to check with legal to see if that fits the definition and we're allowed to do that part. We had also discussed about whether or not Sunday sales would be permissible, but I believe if we're going to also mirror some of the alcohol laws, then Mexico just changed the law for alcohol sales on Sunday, so that kind of made that a moot point. Was it the county? All right, then on paragraph E. I'm sorry, question?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Go ahead.
Have you, Commissioner Brennan, have you checked on the 30-foot rule, 300-foot rule, if that is a state statute that states it that way? Or does it say anywhere in there that it can be the boundary, or is it really the front door like everything else is?
What I've seen, it's not really specific. Once again, though, this is something we would have to ask legal on that one subject.
Okay, then that would be a suggestion from me that we make sure that that goes in front of legal also, so just to make sure that anything that we put into this cannot be challenged for distance.
So the state of New Mexico 54th legislature states that it is within 300 feet from the perimeter of school grounds.
So that would be lot lines.
Yes.
It's always good to be clear, right? I mean, if we can clear up that language, it's good.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of research on this as well. So.
Okay.
Good.
Any help?
So I imagine this has to go to public hearing, I think, before we adopt it. But this is like the preliminary draft and improving the draft. And I guess when you get it where we are happy with it, then we go out to the public comment.
Correct. So there are a few other things here. Let's see here. So cannabis retail establishments may only operate within, it it should be C2 zones, and odor mitigation, which would be talking about the smell of the product, not where not to be exposed to where underage children or offensive smells to the public or any adjoining businesses. We need to make sure that that's in there as well.
Will we need to amend our zoning ordinance to include this? See, in the C2 zone, I wonder. I'll have to look at that ordinance.
Yeah, 'cause I was basing most of my stuff off of what's for the alcohol sales.
Okay.
Because I remember when we went through the cannabis training, they say, the one thing they did say, if you keep it pretty much parallel with the alcohol ordinances, you stay. Yeah, you're staying within, but still, everything we do is definitely going to have to be reviewed by legal. Probably triple check to make sure we don't miss anything. Let's see here. And once again, on section 7, cannabis manufacturing, paragraph B, the same thing, talking about the property line.
I'm sorry, Ken, people can't hear you.
That usually doesn't happen. All right, so once again, section 7, cannabis manufacturing, once again, the change on paragraph B to include the property boundaries. Going on down to paragraph F, cannabis manufacturing may only operate within what zones, and once again, following the alcohol regulations would have to be a what do they call it? M1. Location of cannabis consumption areas, once again, that would fall on paragraph A. That would be also C2. On paragraph B, subsection 2, we would add at the end of that, it'd be or adjoining businesses. We would add that to the paragraph. So it would read, the cannabis consumption area shall have a separate heating, ventilation, and air conditioning HVAC system such that none of the air in the designated cannabis consumption areas will be recirculated in other parts of the cannabis establishment premises or adjoining businesses. Then for paragraph 3.
I just wanted to comment on that, if I could. I think that is a really important one, because there was a business that I used to go to in Albuquerque, and I had to literally stop going there because the cannabis place had moved in next to them. And as I was in that business, it was horrible. It was awful. I don't know how that poor business, they may have even had to close down their shop there, just because of the tenant, next to them. So I think this is really wise to make them have their own separate ventilation and making sure that it's not going to impact the tenants or the businesses around them.
Yeah, because we got to respect the rights of everybody, not just the cannabis business, and they've got to be aware of that as well. Anything else? Mayor?
Sorry, no, I just wanted to make that comment. Sorry I interrupted you on your list, but no, that was it. You were talking about the ventilation, and I thought, yeah, I can attest to that one.
Okay. And then on subsection 3, cannabis consumption areas shall be completely separated from the remainder of the premises, and all doors leading to the cannabis consumption shall be self-closing. And once again, add and caretaken that vapor does not escape to the outside from the open doors. All right. Question? Oh, okay. All right, so moving right along, we've got a couple of suggestions here on page 10. To go ahead and add the line here, so it would go under paragraph I think it would be like a separate paragraph. to add in, it shall be unlawful to sell, serve, give away, dispose of, exchange, distribute, deliver, or to permit the sale, service, gift, disposal, exchange, distribution, or delivery of marijuana or marijuana derivatives in any form to any person under age of 21 years. And to add the possible penalty line along with that for violation of that. And also to add, it shall be unlawful to manufacture hash oil by any method in the city limits, town limits.
And that's permissible as a restriction?
We'd have to double check.
Okay.
Like I said, some of the stuff, I mean, we're trying to be as strict as we can on this, but we will need to, once again, pass this by legal and make sure that we haven't overstepped any bounds. But going by the guidelines that we were given by the state, I believe that does fall within the purview for the town.
And I just want to say for the public that the reason we're doing this is, of course, the state has made it legal, so we cannot refuse to have businesses come in. We can only regulate how they operate and where they operate and the hours and so forth. So, okay.
All right, so then we'd like to go ahead and also add in the same areas additional paragraphs. Use of cannabis products in public where underage children are present is prohibited and subject to children subject to the inhalation of vapors. So protecting the children from secondhand smoke, selling or furnishing manufactured product to anyone underage, other than that, once again, I'm 21, unless it's prescribed by a doctor. And see, also make sure that we cover the open consumption and on town property is prohibited. Add that in, make sure we add that in there. Actively using or evidence of use while operating a motor vehicle shall be considered the same as driving under the influence.
So that is a hard one.
It is.
To enforce because there is not a inexpensive or effective way to test for marijuana in the system. You can smoke this morning and have the same amount of marijuana in your system or THC in your system as you would 30 days ago. It's the same for workman's comp and everything else. It's very hard to enforce.
One of the things I was thinking, we'd have to pass this by the chief. Oh, there he is. If it could be done as if a vehicle was pulled over and the excessive smell of cannabis was coming from the vehicle, if that would be a gateway to enforcing that.
The problem with that being is, in order to, unless they voluntarily give a blood sample, we do not have the authority to ask to get one. Because it being a misdemeanor, driving while under the influence, the misdemeanor and if they refuse, because we do have processes asking them, but if they refuse, under New Mexico law, you cannot get a search warrant for a misdemeanor in the state of New Mexico. So it's unenforceable. The best we have is driving while impaired, and with the history of the courts, up to this point, it has not been. I can think of a handful of cases and they were severe cases, where somebody was actually convicted. It has become a major problem and as Commissioner Donner was saying, the equipment does not exist yet, and the equipment that does exist is for one testing is in the $750,000 range for one piece of equipment. So we're hoping at some point that it will, catch up to itself. But as of right now, the equipment just doesn't exist where it's cost effective for especially municipalities our size. I mean, maybe the larger agencies, but for us right now, not even state police can handle something like that. So it is it is extremely hard to enforce. Again, we're hoping at some point, maybe the legislature will change things in the wording of the way the law is written, but as of right now, the way it sits, it doesn't.
And do you think there's a chance of them changing it to a felony instead of a misdemeanor?
I don't, because of the legal ramifications of it. It doesn't hit that criteria as a felony level offense. The state of New Mexico, only if it's a fourth or subsequent offense of driving while intoxicated and or impaired, does it fall under a felony. Or if there's injury or such like that, then we can get a search warrant. But, for a simple DWI, we can't. Again, hopefully the legislature at some point will, I know it's not on this legislative session, but that they'll change that. But where it sits right now, where it stands right now, we do not have that. That is not
Okay.
what we have. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Would you also incorporate the same process for checking for somebody for impairment as you would for somebody who's driving drunk, as far as like walking a straight line?
Yes, to an extent. We have officers, they're called DREs, drug recognition expert, who can just by the testing that a drug recognition expert puts them through, can determine what type of narcotic it is, whether it be a marijuana or an opioid, anything of that nature. They're trained in that, and we do have 3 of them within our department that are trained to do that. But that's the only way we get it through, is in order to arrest somebody, charge them, and convict them is with the DRE. The state law enforcement community has been putting on multiple classes in order to do that, because they realize that we are behind the 8 ball on this and trying to catch up, especially since we don't have the equipment to be able to determine the level of narcotic, specifically marijuana, in somebody's system.
And one other question to go along with that, as far as the law goes, would the evidence of a marijuana cigarette or a blunt, whatever they want to call it, in the car, would that fall under the same rule as open container?
No, you can have that. It's your home your car is an extension of your home, so you can have so much marijuana on your person. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but you can have that inside your vehicle because it is an extension of your home.
Okay.
I did also want to give the example of I have neighbors that were living in Colorado, and one of them had been injured very terribly in an accident from a dealer who was driving under the influence, and it was a terrible accident, which took him an incredibly long time to recover. They left Colorado for that reason of the legalization, and others, I'm sure. But I do see that as just as much of a risk as DWIs. I mean, from alcohol. So if there needs to be changes in the laws, they should be proactively looking at that, I would hope, because it is, it causes serious problems.
I totally agree. Again, hopefully, at some point, the legislature puts in things in there that us as law enforcement can release some of that, the way things are going right now. But again, as state law is written right now, it's not there.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate the input on it.
No problem. Has anybody got any Lysol? As you know, I've all been sick and I want to spray. There we go.
All right, and a few other things that we've been, Mr. Hill and I were talking about. We've been just sort of brainstorming things we need to add into this, as far as when a business is applying for the license and for the employees working for that business to require a background check. And here we were talking about mirroring some of the firearm laws to whereas any convictions any felony convictions or drug convictions excluding marijuana type convictions because the state, it appears the state is going to go ahead and forgive all prior convictions once the law goes into effect in April. So that would be any other drug convictions. So it would be cocaine or, meth or anything like that, any of those convictions that would preclude a person from being able to rather operate that business or work in that business. To add that in there.
What does the state say about that? It's hard to mandate a private business to do those kinds of things. This is just what I'm getting at. I don't know if that's important.
That's why I was wanting to follow the firearm laws, because for gun shops, they pretty much also have to follow the
Firearm laws are a federal law. It's not a state. So without it being legalized federally, I don't know if you can enforce that request right there. And it's not, I'm not trying to go against you or anything. I'm just being in the private sector. You can't. I don't believe you can mandate that a company does background checks on a company or on employees without them being either working on a federal job, a state ran job. It's very difficult to mandate that without. And maybe Commissioner and I and Mayor Pro Tem Powers can speak a little bit more to this, being from the construction industry. It's very hard to mandate that from a private business.
Well, I think we'll get some legal counsel on this, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
really appreciate the work that you're doing and that Mr. Hill is doing on this to try to get it as good as we can, and then we have to send it in and see if some of these things can be tweaked to comply, or if they already comply or they don't comply.
Yeah, 'cause this right here is just to give us the initial foundation to build on.
Great.
This is, like I said, there's definitely gonna be some more tweaking once we all start looking at this and coming up with our own suggestions and taking it to legal. This is definitely not an overnight process for this one.
Do you think you could do a red line draft of this with your changes so that we know which ones you've added and we can kind of go from there?
Yeah, I can go ahead and I can work on typing that up.
I appreciate that very much.
So just scan it under a PDF or something like that. The document that you have here,
Right.
convert it.
Yeah, convert it to a Word document.
Yeah.
The changes back to a PDF.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just some of the other things that weren't originally covered here on the original draft were going to be the penalties for violation of ordinances. So we need to make sure that is in there in black and white. So there would be no question on that. And then the one last part that we had talked about is if a business decides to relocate, to require the business to go ahead, they have to go through the process all over again for applying for the license within the town if they're relocating, or if they are selling the business to a new individual. And I would like to go ahead and thank Mr. Hill for all the work that he did. He did a lot of this, and he brought it to me earlier today. We went over it and discussed it, and I do appreciate all his help.
Okay, well, thanks for the good work on that. We'll look forward to a draft with those red lines, and we can kind of keep working on it until we get it somewhere where we're happy with enough with it to submit to attorneys or go out to a public hearing. Okay, I'm gonna suggest we take just a 5-minute break if we can before we go on to the ICIP and the capital projects. Everybody okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just take a quick break, be right back. listing and capital projects. This is basically, just an update on, and a report on what's going on. So you have in your packet a list of the projects.
Is, Mayor Padilla with us?
I'm not sure.
Did we lose her?
I am. The sound just started, so I'm here.
Oh, the sound just started, okay. So we're moving on to, the next item on the agenda, 12G, which is legislative requests, ICIP listing and capital projects. And in the packet is the project summary of what's been submitted. There were some issues because we didn't, last year, there was some slip about getting these, in, and we kind of went through an act of Congress to talk to the legislative committee, Department of Finance, our particular rep and senator, and, had to get special endorsement to get these in, but we did manage to get them in. So, these are all of the projects that we had discussed submitting before, and they are all in and have assigned capital outlay numbers. So, any questions about any of this? Any discussion?
I just wanted to mention, Mayor Pro Tem, that I think, from last year, we had taken a look at those, and I remember a meeting needed to be canceled and rescheduled, and there was some, kind of resistance to that. We did end up approving a very similar list to the previous year, and then found out that it had not been submitted as required. And there was, of course, still time. Even though there was a deadline, there's many municipalities that submit their ICIP lists later. So that, was not really the issue. I think the deadline for the legislature, though, was another process that we had to go through. And I just want to thank you and Commissioner Anaya for getting that done, as I know it was an issue. I also heard in public comment, Ms. Hubbard's mentioned that deadline is passed, but no, they actually do accept ICIP projects past the, I think it was September deadline or whenever that was in the fall. And as I had mentioned then, and I will say again, that is something that does happen from time to time, with local governments, and it can be submitted. And so we did accomplish that, and we've been putting the list here in the packet for the past few meetings, just so that the town can see what's on the ICIP list. So thank you.
Okay, so that's kind of the nature of the report. We got them in, so you have a list. If there's any questions or any discussion before we move on. Okay, so item H is flags and landscaping. I know we've kind of discussed this. Is there more on this?
No, I actually think we already covered it all.
Okay. Next item is town hall lighting. We talked about that to a degree. Is there any more on that?
The only thing I would need on that, the only thing I would need under, item I, well, even item H, I think we need to, since it's under the action item, to allow, let me make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, it is an action item. To allow that we can proceed with bids to see where we come price-wise to bring to the next meeting.
I think we can do that without a vote, but I would like to see, as you mentioned earlier, some permanent pricing or quotes for permanent lighting out there. Because I know we had the portable, but overall, we're gonna need permanent lighting. That's something to maybe address with the Moriarty School District, because they own this building. I think they have an obligation to provide adequate lighting. It's in our, we're leasing this building, and that's a safety issue.
Well, I think this is probably the first time that they've been confronted with an issue like this. So, and Audrey and I, being on the Board of Education before, we know what it's like to work with them. So, that's why I would like to have at least, some hard numbers, when we go in front of them.
Okay.
That would be good. Just to kind of add to the discussion here on as to the philosophy of having everything in discussion and action. I've been through 2 elected boards now, which the administrations used leaving off action on items as a tool to squelch the voice of the minority or just to control what could be acted upon and what couldn't be acted upon. I find that practice to be absolutely disgusting for elected officials. They should be able to take action on things that they bring onto the agenda. So I feel very strongly about that. So that's why I've been combining them. So discussion and action, it can be that we don't need to take action. It could be that we just discuss, but I want the option there to have for the governing body to be able to take action if they wish on any item that they would like added to the agenda. So between the time that the agenda comes out and the meeting, sometimes things change and you get more information or whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to kind of explain to you guys why I have it like that, but it doesn't mean that we must take action.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. The town manager, Katie, you have some comments?
Can I request that we get the bids and the price the following town meeting, because the next meeting is next Tuesday, and we just won't have time to have any bids in and be able to get it on the agenda.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. Better to do it well than to do it quickly. Okay, next item on the agenda is J, New Mexico Municipal League request coronavirus relief funds. Mayor Armijo, do you want to address that?
Sure. On that one, I think it's a little bit of a holdover from before, but just upcoming here in the session, and with all of the funds coming in, we do need to be presenting our projects to the league and having the league kind of, I guess, can't think of a better word, but showcase them to the people that they speak to. What was that?
Advocate.
Advocate. There we go. Yeah, advocate for the town as far as our important projects to us. And so we're going to need someone to be able to create some flyers. I don't know if there's a volunteer that's good with graphics. We have been really short on staff due to various issues. But that is something that we need, is to be able to have them advocate for us. And then pretty soon, the grant writing and the applications will start becoming due as well.
So these graphics would go up on their website and promote our pet projects or the ones that we want to see. And they would advocate for us with the legislature to get that money. Okay. Do we need to take any action on that, or is that just something we want to be aware of? Okay.
No, if anyone knows someone that would be willing to volunteer on promotional items for these projects, that would be awesome. Someone that knows publisher well and has a few extra hours to help us out.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item K, commission board appointments. I believe these are nominations from the mayor, so would you like to make a motion about the Animal Control Advisory Board nominations?
Yes, I would. I would like to make a motion. And one actually I neglected to list here, but he's been a long time in involvement, Mike Ring. And so if there's no objection, he's been a great volunteer over the years and actually serving in the animal control position in the past. So I'm going to add him to the list. So I make a motion to appoint Susan Simons, Celia Cook, Glory Giampero, and Mike Ring to the Animal Control Advisory Board.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on these appointments? I know there's a lot of work to be done. We've had some incidents with barking dog problems and all kinds of things. And so I really appreciate the volunteers coming forward to help with these issues. If there's no discussion, I guess we can vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we hear from them? Yeah, we have any present? I get to see Susan Simons, I know. Please come forward.
That would be great.
If you'd like to speak.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mike Ring. I worked for the town for 13 years as the Animal Control Officer. I was involved in opening up our very first animal shelter by the State Police Building. Also opening up our current shelter and making it ready for the public. We've had a lot of good programs over the years. One is the Woolstock Pet Expo and Adoption Festival, which is sponsored by Petco. Each year they give us $5,000 to put the event on. It would attract 500 or 600 people. We'd have rescue groups from all around the state. Many adoptions. Usually we'd average about 100 animals adopted during that event. I'm retired now, so I have plenty of time to be on the board and make suggestions or try to improve facilities and just try to, the community is really proud of our animal shelter, and it's really a focal point in town here. So I think it's a great thing to support, and I just like to offer my services.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for stepping forward for the town.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would, on these nominations, would like to speak? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your volunteerism.
We have a comment in the chat that says, "We love Mike."
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is general public comments. Do we have anybody in the room that would like to? Ms. Simons, please, and we have two more, it looks like.
I'm going to stand way over here, Chief. So, yeah. I would just like to make a comment. If you're looking for someone to do graphic artist, publisher, all that, go to the high school. There are kids who would love to have that on their resume, that they put that together for the town, and it would cost you nothing.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that.
That's great.
Mr. Ring, please.
We'll contact EVCA.
I'm sure Mike Ring would like me to clarify that we are not related. He's the better Ring. I have several things here to comment on. I'm trying to make it fast. One of them is, I want to thank Roger Holden for showing up tonight. Is that too loud?
No, that's good.
Okay, you're good. I think it shows his character by coming and commenting and answering questions. And I hope you'll answer some questions later on other projects. On the cannabis situation, I think by the way, while you're trying to construct that ordinance, by inference, you're admitting or you're saying, and it doesn't take much admission, that it's a dangerous drug, or it could be a dangerous drug, because you're separating the place that they smoke from the place that they buy. And alcohol is a little bit different than that. They let them drink any place they want to, just about. So the reason I bring it up is it is going to be hard to enforce as far as the motor vehicle laws go, and I don't know how you're going to enforce it in town. If somebody decides they want to walk out high out of a building, are they going to have a guard there to do something about it, or how will you work that? Last meeting, oh, by the way, Mr. Ralph Hill and I, are good friends, and I apologize to him, and, I hope that our friendship will continue. Last week, he, I think, announced or asked a question about the old, building, that the town, not the town, but the, medical center had up in the corner. And that was supposed to be converted to a mental health facility. For some reason, I think it was because the county sort of drew out of it. And, so he asked about what the status was, and I had written to, our commissioner down here to see what he knew about it and where it was at and so forth. Didn't get an answer to just the other day. And, he had appointed, or the county had appointed a lady by the name of Rachel Garcia. And that's your contact, I think, to find out going forward what's gonna happen with that. But it sure would be nice to have something like that, because, just like a lot of other things, there are a lot of people with mental health issues. You might look at me, but don't stare too long. But anyway, I think it's something we really should pursue, and I think Ralph Hill agrees with that, and probably a lot of other people that do. I'll rush this up. There's something about the tap room. I don't drink and I don't smoke and I have a tote, so I don't do any of those things, but I'm glad that we're gonna have a tap room if people want it. And the only thing that bothers me about the location of this one is when they come out and they climb that hill, are they gonna be intoxicated, half intoxicated, or what? I just want it to be as safe as possible, because being down in a hole like that and having to climb up a hill to get out, I'm afraid it's gonna present some problems. Just keep that in mind. And, I can't think of anything else. I would ask that when you, advertise the veterans, designation for the roads and so forth and so on, that you advertise that as heavily as you can. Website, newspaper, 2 or 3 times, and I think it's a great event and a great thing to do. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hubbard, please.
Yes, at the first council meeting, that was held, or commission meeting, I'm sorry. We made an appointment for commissioners, for the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we called one of the members out at large, and I was very confused about where this member at large, what that means. The ordinance in the town, ordinance number 2014-05, and beware of tricky old ordinances. It says an ordinance amending the ordinance creating a planning commission for the town of Edgewood, repealing 199F, and prescribe the powers, duties, and organization of said commission. And anyway, it goes into what a commission is, but it says membership. The planning board shall consist of not less than 5 members, a minimum of 3, of whom must reside within the municipality boundaries, and 1 alternate, and all members shall be appointed by the mayor with the consent of town council. Members must either reside within the municipal boundaries, or they must certify that they own property within the municipal boundaries, and so forth. It does not mention anything about an at-large member. I have no idea what that means. And if we're following our ordinances, they're either a member or they're an alternate. And I think that needs to be looked into. I have we're talking about transparency, code of conduct, and make things not, looking bad. It was appointed, I guess the commission voted to appoint, Ray Seegers on that commission at large. And, I know that he was once married to, Kay Davis. Then they have property and they have sons in business. And I feel like, even though it's not nepotism exactly, that there is sort of a conflict of interest there, I think, for him to be in that position. And I'd just like you to reconsider that appointment.
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard.
Nothing personal against him, just that I don't think it looks good.
Thank you very much. So if there's no more, anyone in the, Mr. Hill, please come forward.
I just have to remember, Phil, our commissioner, and I, since you're gonna be meeting with the school board, at one time, we were worried about the playground equipment out here belonging to the school, and we were wondering, Roger Holden, we were wondering if we could buy that from the Moriarty School District for maybe $1, because it was paid for by property taxes of the citizens here in Edgewood. Send their kids to that school. And also, you might ask them about the playground, if it's fully available to the town. And the last thing is, I just I appreciate it. I know, like Jerry and most of you have worked 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and also the new town manager and clerk. The hours you're putting in, working so hard, it's just amazing. And when I opened 3 restaurants, I remember doing the same thing, and it's miserable to get to work 7 days a week. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. So if we could now go to the phones and unmute all those for us, please. If there's anyone on the phones, we're going to unmute all your mics. If anyone wants to speak, please let us know.
I'm gonna say something.
Okay. I'm muted.
Go ahead, please. Who's speaking?
This is Doug Miller.
Mr. Miller, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I have a question on the cannabis earlier. Do you guys have an ETA on permits? I know it's probably a little early to ask, or how much the permits are going to be. I know it's kind of a cart before the horse kind of thing, but do you guys have any idea or what that might be?
I don't think so. I think we're still we're struggling with the ordinance first, and then we can get some of those answers later.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else?
Isn't there, maybe Commissioner Donner knows a little bit more about this as well, because I know he checked into a few things, but I think that there are applications of some sort funding or pending with the state regulation and licensing department first.
Yes.
So that's a whole process that has to happen first.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar to trying to get a liquor license. In the state, they have to go through a couple different application processes with the state and the county, and then it comes to the town at a certain point. And we're not ready for that quite yet. So, but yeah, there are a number of applications.
I have a little comment on that too. They have a deadline of April 1st. Everything's supposed to be online. That's from the state side. So I don't know if it's gonna trickle down to the same thing for us by April 1st.
It might be wise to mirror what the state's doing at this point.
I agree. So I believe it's April 1st.
Okay. Any more comments from the speakers on the phone?
Yes, this is Linda Burke. I'd like to comment.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, I wanted to thank Commissioner Anaya for bringing up the meeting that we had with Mr. Cog, and to also clarify that it really wasn't about I-40. We're just part of the Eastern I-40 cluster. Really what it was about was business resilience and recovery. And so Mr. Cog is trying to work on gathering information. And the topic that our group brought up in general, and our group did include the village of Tejares as well, was the need for broadband in this area and a coordination of different entities that are in this region to work together on regional issues, water issues, open space and wildfire cautions that could be taken. Wastewater and sewer development were specific to, not just specific to Edgewood, also village of Tejares. And we discussed the need for additional job training and maybe educational opportunities in this region, as well as regional events that go on. And mental health was also discussed, especially after this long period of isolation that many people have been experiencing. So those are some of the topics that were discussed. We do have other meetings coming up that will refine this information and get a better picture of what services and supports might be available to help the communities in the Eastern I-40 corridor, which is the eastern side of Albuquerque and out through Edgewood. In addition, I wanted to invite everyone on the commission and in the public to come to an event that's coming up. It will be held at the town library on February 19th, and it's a coordination of different organizations out here, the Chamber of Commerce, the Independent, the library, as well as the League of Women Voters and the New Mexico Humanities Council. And the program is called Old Roots and New Roots. And what it is to talk about our community's heritage and history, as well as what has brought newcomers here. Why do people choose to stay here that have been here a while? And just to get to know each other. It's just a great, after so much time of isolation with COVID and so forth, it's just a great way for the community to re-engage and reconnect. And we were actually, the Independent and the Chamber, we were actually approached by the League of Women Voters to put this on after they had seen the candidates forum that we did in October. And they were impressed with the community's turnout and their interest in what was happening in their community, and chose Edgewood as only one of 8 to 12 communities in the state that have been given this opportunity. So I really hope that we have a good turnout for February 19th. That'll be 10 a.m. at the Edgewood Community Library. And we have a second program that will be coming up March 19th. And that is building on the information we hope to get February 19th. On March 19th, we'll talk about community visions for our future. So we'll get a little bit of understanding of where we come from, where we are, and then hopefully the community will come together with some ideas for what they'd like to see. We may have additional programs on that, but I wanted to make sure everyone could mark their calendars, February 19th and March 19th. Those are Saturday mornings. They'll be at the Edgewood Library. They are hybrid programs, so you can attend in person. Masks will be required. And it's also going to be available online through Zoom. So it's an interactive participation, whether you're at home or whether you're in person. And so we just hope to get a really great turnout from the community.
Thank you very much.
And that's all I have tonight.
That's a lot of information. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Linda, for helping me out on that one.
You've got a lot on your plate.
Do you remember what your favorite local business was?
I'm not allowed to say, being the Chamber of Commerce. They're all
These
my
are the
favorite
type of questions
businesses.
that we were asked during that meeting. What was your favorite local business? Do you like red or green? So these were the types of questions that we were asked, and it was rather funny at that point.
Okay, do we have anyone else who would like to speak at all?
Mayor Pro Tem, I believe we need to unmute the callers just to check caller 2, 3, and 4.
And I had a comment from GoToMeeting when you get to that.
Okay, let's ask if any of the people on the phone, the callers 2, 3, or 4, have any comments, anyone would like to speak.
What do you say?
Do you want to comment? No.
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, I think that was Karen Kaiser on GoToMeeting.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Powers. I just wanted to compliment the commission and the interim town manager on hiring Brad Hill to head the planning department. It's a brilliant choice. The town is darn lucky to have someone at that level of expertise come to serve. And I've also been really impressed with just all of, like you've said, so many people of high talent and caliber volunteering. Not the least of which is Ray Seegers, who is a perfect appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board. You know, finally, more people that know something about planning and land use, and he's a consummate real estate professional and business owner in the town. I'm a little bit taken back that Miss Hubbard's, who ironically was removed for violating the nepotism ordinance, wanted to infer something improper. So my request would be, given that I guess she still didn't read it, it's one paragraph long, maybe 5 or 6 sentences. I think that's something that should be read at the next public meeting. It's very clear what is and is not a violation of the town nepotism ordinance. And certainly your ex-wife being the interim town manager and you being appointed to, sit or chair the planning and zoning board is not a violation. Appointing your first cousin is. And it's just 5 sentences. I think if you would read it as a town, there could be no more innuendos, but congratulations on all the good people. And I don't think you could find anyone more qualified than Ray Seegers to serve on planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on GoToMeeting that would like to speak? Okay, this will conclude the public comment portion. Next item on the agenda is item 14, future meetings and proposed agenda items. I just want to make sure the public knows that we're a few days away from February, and starting in February, our meetings will be moved to the first and third Tuesdays of each month. So we have a regular commission meeting on February 1st, February 15th. The Municipal Officers Leadership Institute trainings for certified municipal officers. Mayor Armio, do you want to tell us a little about that? I know you think very highly of that program.
Right. This is very, very important for the newly elected officers to attend. They have excellent information that they share, and these programs are part of our membership with the Municipal League. Molly is also another program that's necessary for those who don't already have their CMO, Certified Municipal Officer certification. And that is a series of classes and other credits that you earn to earn your CMO. And at the end of that, of course, you're presented with the plaque and the certification showing that you learned all of that information and went through those courses. And it's not too hard to attain, but definitely recommend that the commissioners accomplish that within their first year, maybe 18 months of being elected. So that is something that Stephanie can register you all for and set you up with. And as well, I think she mentioned this earlier, but we do need to let her know who will be attending Municipal Day on, the day for that morning for the legislative session, and then who will be the evening before so that she can make reservations. And that's actually the next item, sorry.
That's okay, moving fast. So, the municipal day, that was what Stephanie was telling us about, and to make reservations for that. Thursday night's a reception, and Friday's the legislative session, breakfast in the morning.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and then, go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you mind updating us on, I think there's Workforce Connection of Central New Mexico meeting, and they may be having another meeting in the future, but I know you attended that.
Yeah, I attended that in your absence, and it was an interesting meeting. There seems to be a national and a local or state kind of trend toward taking local control back to the higher levels. And there was something that happened at that meeting. They've written a new regulation that the workforce part of the Mid-Region Council of Governments is, right now, the way it sits is all mayors and all county commissioners get a vote. And the way that this new regulation reads is that only one designated county commissioner would get a vote, and none of the municipalities would get a vote. So it really takes away the voice and local control, independence of the municipalities in terms of the things that are voted on for the workforce solutions for the Mr. Cog portion. So we discussed that at length. I opposed it and just discussed why, because we do lose our voice that way. And several of the other cities joined in with that. And so we decided after some discussion to do a resolution to ask them to retract that change to the regulation so that we can maintain our independent voice and the cities can be heard as well. You can imagine in Santa Fe County, if we had one commissioner, both the city of Santa Fe, the city of Edgewood would have to lobby that one county commissioner, and we're probably going to have very different views of what we want. So I think our voice would get drowned out by the city of Santa Fe. So I was happy to see that after discussion that a lot of the cities felt the same way, and I believe that that resolution will be forthcoming at the next meeting. So future agenda items, we're going to review the RFP for engineering services, which will be going out. Procurement ordinance changes, we mentioned some of those tonight that are somewhat problematic and need to be reviewed. Approval of the past minutes, and then approval of the financial reports for September, October, November, December of 2021. So we'll look forward to those. Any closing comments before we adjourn?
I did want to ask that the commissioners and the administration just think about which items are the highest priority that you would like to see on the February 1st agenda, so that we can get that out right away. Just if you wouldn't mind letting me know tomorrow if there's anything really important to you. We're going to try to keep next week's meeting short and not quite as long as these past meetings in January. So for this first one, since it's so close to this week, we'll try to have a shorter agenda. But I do need to know the priorities, so let me know.
All right, and I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for all your hard work. I know it's been a real challenge this first month, and I appreciate everything everybody's doing, the staff, the commission, the volunteers from the town. It's quite a challenge. I expect that will probably settle out sooner or later. But right now it's been urgent just to get the wheels back on the cart and get it moving. So thanks again for everybody. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're adjourned.